name is Refilwe Matafeng. Welcome to Encounters Documentary Film Festival's Q&A session of the incredible film Schools Shut Down. And joining me today is the equally as incredible filmmaker and director of the film, Casterine Hola. Casterine, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome.
Thank you, Refilwe, for having me. I'm really glad and excited to be talking about Schools Shut Down today.
So Schools Shut Down follows the story of Boucher, a determined young woman and matriculant who from Orange Farm, who navigates the challenges of being a grade 12 learner during a pandemic where face-to-face learning has been suspended, while also handling already existing pressures of being in matric. And just to start us off, could you tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to make this film?
Okay, thank you so much, Refilwe, for that question. What inspired Schools Shut Down, just to give a bit of background, initially, it was supposed to be a participatory film. We were supposed to make like a participatory film for STEPS. My team, Octavia, Zwelibanzi, Chabalala, as filmmakers from Orange Farm, we basically went out to our community to see how COVID-19 has impacted people's lives. So when we came back and looked at our findings and sort of like reflected on ourselves, we realized that education was a huge issue, because we live in a society where education is basically the key to success. So it was that thing that then what happens when you can't afford accessories like gadgets or internet connection to maintain the online education, which most learners from Orange Farm can't even afford those things. Does it then mean that you will be deprived your right to education? So the story came about that, and it's really about how COVID-19 has influenced our education system, exploring different barriers and challenges that young people in communities like Orange Farm come across. And just to add on that, I think for this film to have been possible, I thank STEPS, because if it wasn't for STEPS, we wouldn't have even made the film. I think the PSI, the WFD, the HPCC, and all the other funders for supporting us to make this film a success, and the support from Don Atkins, Koliswa Sitole, Tiny Mungwe, Barry Han, and also the rest of the STEPS team, because I think if it wasn't for each and every person who played a huge role in the making of the film, it wouldn't have been done, or it wouldn't have been possible. And also Boucher for opening up to us, and her mom, Tolagele, for just allowing us to and welcoming us to their home during a pandemic. I think they all just inspired the film in a nutshell. Yeah, thank you.
And it's such an incredibly important film as well. It's insightful, and as audience members, it draws our attention to the challenges, already existing challenges that come from the environment that Boucher lives in. It draws our attention to how COVID-19 just adds to challenges that already exist, and the pressures of being a matriculant, those are already there. And we see as these sort of play out, and we see as she navigates them, which is just, it's amazing to watch. And she has an optimism, she has a sense of resilience about her that is just amazing. And you touched a little bit on Boucher's family allowing you to come into their home, to come into their space during COVID-19. That's a challenge on its own in terms of filming. That is guidelines that you have to be aware of. And so could you talk to us a little bit more about some of the challenges that you encountered when filming?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think one of our main challenges was basically filming during the time of COVID-19, because you come to someone's space with cameras and all the filmmaking equipment, and we are in the middle of a pandemic. So it was that thing of saying, basically maintaining all the regulations at all times, because the last thing that we wanted to do as filmmakers was to come there and shoot, and don't care about the other people and just leave. So that wasn't the case. We constantly had to like clean where everything that we touched. We constantly we had to like have masks at all times to maintain the social distancing at all times. I must say it was difficult at times, but we really tried and made sure that we create a safe space for everyone and everyone that we were going to leave behind, and cover basically just maintain all the COVID-19 regulations at all times. Yeah.
Mm, mm. I imagine it had to be a very mindful practice, just on top of what comes with
filming.
Yeah.
It was like an extra responsibility on our side as well, to be extremely cautious of our surroundings and everyone else's safety. So it was like a huge responsibility on everyone, basically.
And there's something that you said just now that I wanted to sort of expand on a little bit more. You had spoken about not wanting to come into this family space and come into Boucher's life, film, and then just leave afterwards. And so I wanted to ask you about where Boucher is now, and what her journey has been, since the completion of this film.
Since the completion of the film, I've been in constant communication with Boucher, regularly checking up on her, on how she's doing. And recently, she is a first-year student at Wits studying medicine. She talked to me about some of the challenges that she comes across with that, which is mainly what she's been experiencing from her matric year, access to internet connection, access to gadgets to use, because they also are doing purely online learning. And if you don't have a laptop, if you don't have this and that, it is extremely difficult to maintain the education, or to maintain your studies. So it's just the same challenge on a different level, which is more difficult. But knowing Boucher, because she's really resilient and she's a hard worker, she sort of like finds ways to overcome all of those challenges. Because when she's even talking to me, she's like, yeah, it's difficult, but then I try my best. I push myself even harder. I work extra hard to make sure that I finish my assignment, I submit in time. So knowing her, she's really a hardworking young woman, and she overcomes all of those challenges. But otherwise, the problems that we talk about, or the issues that we talk about on this film, they don't just end there. It just continues to, it's just that it continues to a different level that Boucher is experiencing now at the moment.
And it's one thing that the film does is really shed light on something that COVID has done, and that is highlight or expose just how just South Africa's schooling system and the education system and the problems that come with a lack of access to resources and a lack of access to so many other things that really do contribute to, quality education. And I mean, the idea of quality education is a conversation for another day in terms of what exactly that means. And just watching Boucher, watching her journey, it's amazing to know that she's in first year now, and that she continues to work hard, because as we watch the film, it's not only her story that we can get drawn to, we also get invested in her, because she draws us in that way. And so really amazing film that highlights, that sheds light on so many issues that we should continue to have conversations about. And, you know, just to sort of close this Q&A off, could you tell us about any current projects that you're working on, and what we can expect to see from you in the future?
Okay, thank you again. Currently, I am developing a short documentary called Hakunwana Maloba, which seeks to unpack issues of identity, culture, and what it means to be a young South African in 2021, and what it meant to be a young South African back in the 80s. We're still very much on our early development phases. So that's the documentary that I'll be working on in future.
And I can't wait to see more of your work. Such important stories, such important conversations, and such important, you know, issues that you look at in your work, that are really just amazing, and the compassion that you approach them with. Hopefully we'll see you again on Encounters with your next projects. And it's been such an amazing and a privilege and an honor to speak to you today, and to hear your insights, to hear about what inspired you to make the film, and to hear about more work that you want to continue doing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Rufilwe. It was nice talking to you, and thank you for inviting me for this Q&A. I'm really, really glad to have shared fully on Schools Shut Down.
Thank you.
And open conversations around the issues of education, and the new way of living in a way.
Yes, and I hope this is exactly what the film continues to do as it journeys, and it reaches more and more audiences. And, you know, thank you again. I'm going to keep saying thank you, because I really did appreciate the work that you've done. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I also want to thank Encounters partners and sponsors, and to every single person who's watching. Thank you so much for watching and for joining us. Please do follow us on all our social media platforms. You can also find Encounters on its website at www.encounters.co.za, and Encounters will see you virtually everywhere. Thank you.